Hi, I'm Scott Lukas. I'm the Faculty Chair of Teaching and Learning, and today I am here with Treva Thomas. And Treva, your role is?
I'm currently the Director of Distance Education here at the college.
Right, and so we wanted to take this video as an opportunity as part of our onboarding processes here to really talk about our roles and some of the support that we can provide for you in terms of part-time faculty or also full-time faculty. So as my role is being rolled out, I'll be involved in a lot of trainings and pedagogical workshops. We'll do some stuff here in my office. We'll also do some stuff on campus. We'll do some live streams. And because I've taught a lot in DE and also I filled in for Treva last quarter in spring of 2019, I also have a lot of footing in DE. Maybe you could talk about your role a little bit and some of the things you do with instructors on campus or off campus.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to thank Scott for filling in in spring. He did a great job. I felt very good about that. I knew he would do an excellent work. And so my role as the DE coordinator has just evolved over time. It's just been kind of organic, knowing that we have so many offerings online, and I have just really been initially a support person, and then more time was given to me, and I've been heavily involved with the online education initiative, and again, just to support faculty, but students, and so it's going to be really exciting to have Scott and I working together to really support faculty here on campus, and so we're really looking forward to this year as it just kind of morphs and evolves, I think, our jobs.
Yeah. And there'll be interplay and interconnections, and so we'll obviously be in touch with all of you and working through our various approaches to do more onboarding and more training to support both part-time faculty and full-time faculty here at LTCC. Treva, do you want to talk a little bit about what DE instruction is and how it's important and maybe just how it's changed over time?
It definitely has changed over time. Many of you who started teaching here face-to-face, now you may be teaching online. And so it really just, I always look at this as just giving students an opportunity and access to pursue higher education. And in whatever way, in whatever coursework they're doing, but you have that person that can't make it to campus, they're scheduling, whatever that might be, and that there's finally a platform for them to actually pursue a degree and gain those employable skills and just really change their lives. And so that's super exciting. DE instruction, there's online instruction, which means that all of the instruction occurs in the online environment. Normally asynchronously. You may have some synchronous activities that you do that are recorded for students to watch. However, we also offer some hybrid courses, which hybrid just means that if you have any required face-to-face meetings, that's hybrid, and a student needs to know that. So a student in Southern California probably would not take a hybrid course because unless it was a one-day activity, they could come to campus. And then we also, under DE, it's not really distance education, but one of the other areas that's really becoming exciting here on campus is web enhancing your face-to-face classes, where you can use our learning management system to help manage your course content and make things a little bit more streamlined and efficient, electronic versions of materials. So we are continuing to grow in the online. Scott's going to talk about the FTS growth in online instruction here on campus, and so it's something that many of you may have thought you would never do, but are finding yourself in the situation to be teaching online for that opportunity.
That's great. Yeah, in fact, I was at a board meeting in 2019, and Donna Sohan, our Director of Institutional Effectiveness, presented a chart, and I'll put it up on screen here so you can see it. But it's interesting to see, back in the day when we first started, I'm going on, I think this is my 22nd year. You've been here a while as well.
Yeah. Oh, at the college, yes.
At the college. And when I first started, everything was face-to-face. And then over time, I think it was the summer of 2004, I started teaching online. And I remember there was back in the days, we used to meet in our old boardroom here in the Commons, really small room. And I just remember it was a physical anthro class, and at the time Lori Gaskin was our vice president of instruction, and people were surprised. They're like, wow, the numbers are really good, good enrollments. And when I was first doing it, I didn't know what I was doing. I was writing my own HTML. It was pretty crazy. And to see where we've come over all those years to now having Canvas and amazing resources. But I think it's an indication of how the college has started to take its full-time equivalent student base, what we call the FTS base, and really diversify it. So back when I first started in the late 90s, it was 100% face-to-face, and then over time we developed DE. Now when you look at the pictures, you'll see from Donna's charts, it's really balanced. So we have a really aggressive ISP offerings out there that we offer quite a few ISP classes. DE, of course, as Treva mentioned, and then a lot of these other things, instructional agreements and ISI, and there's emergency training, and you see a lot of different little bits broken down. So now as you look at our FTS, it's no longer that 100% online or 100% face-to-face, or then becoming 90% face-to-face. It's now really diverse. And so Treva pointed to the fact that it's more flexible for our students, and for me, that's one of the best things about DE instruction, is that it allows our students really to have a connection to us, even though they're not physically on campus per se. Do you want to talk about, because I know in your role you see a lot of, so Treva is doing so many trainings and on a day-to-day basis, and when I filled in, I really appreciated what Treva's doing, because you would get, it felt like being a doctor on call, where it's like, oh, this happened with my quiz, and I don't know how to open it, or it closed ahead of time and students are trying to access it. So do you want to talk about that, like some of the challenges that you see in DE instruction for our instructors?
Sure. So, some of those challenges, it is probably becoming in a place where you can feel comfortable teaching in that modality. I think for many of us, we started teaching because we love the classroom. That engagement that you have with your students in the classroom is so exciting, and to me, it's very energizing. And then we are, maybe asked, or, there's an opportunity to teach online. And so many of us, probably, I think one of the biggest challenges is that I don't think we feel really prepared to really teach online until you do it. And so that's why here on campus, you're required to take the Canvas training, which is our learning management system, and we have the same training for face-to-face as our online instructors, so that you have the same base, your base is the same, and so you can quickly, if you're face-to-face, you can start teaching online in a very short time. But probably, like I said, that challenge is in the time that it takes to really teach an effective online course, is that the students expect you to be available 24/7 because they have access to your class 24/7. And so really setting up a well-designed, structured course, really communicating effectively with your students is very important. You quickly realize when you receive 20 emails about questions on an assignment that you left something out, and it can be challenging for the instructor. And so that's probably is just the time commitment, but it is super rewarding. On the flip side of that is that, again, that that students who would not have been able to gain access to a course are engaged in your class and learning and participating in a way that they wouldn't have been able to do.
And kind of that flip side you're talking about, I think for me a benefit for teaching DE, teaching in Canvas, is kind of like for our students, there is flexibility. Right. So obviously you get to decide when assignments are due. Some instructors, I hear, grade on the weekends, others don't. So there is that flexibility, whereas in a face-to-face class, it meets Monday, Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and maybe you have assignments due that week, and again, there's flexibility with grading. But with DE, I feel like as an instructor, you can really think about how to use your time. Yeah, so in any case, I think just having that flexibility as an instructor is a definite benefit. And then Treva, do you want to talk a little bit about, because I think there's a misperception. When I first started teaching online, and I think like the barriers, we've gotten better with Canvas and our trainings, but I used to hear from my colleagues, both full and part-time, like, oh, I don't think you could do a good online class, or the students wouldn't like it. Can you talk about like just feedback you've heard and how people do enjoy, instructors enjoying teaching in the online format?
Definitely, and I think that as these resources roll out, and the online education initiative has really been focused on presenting quality courses, and I think then that the more resources that we get in regards to developing good online classes, like you mentioned, your first classes, you were learning on your own, you were creating your own HTML. To be honest, I do feel sorry for the first set of students. I would need to apologize to them, I think, if I saw them back like in about 2005, 2006 that I taught my class. I took the class and just kind of my face-to-face and put my resources online. However, I think that the more training that we get on the design of a course and quality design, I've had students that have gone through some training this year that they got re-excited, is that a word? But just energized with their teaching online. They feel like they're presenting material in a very creative way. It allows for that. It allows for you to just go out and search all the great resources that are online and include just different examples and different material than maybe you do in a face-to-face class. And so I think that creativity and again, we're always trying to improve our classes, but that it does allow for that. I encourage faculty to put out anonymous surveys, more of those anonymous surveys, the 1-minute paper to their online students so that they can always continually be improving their classes. So I think that instructors, once they do start teaching, they feel like that they have more tools in their to work with, and they understand quality and the pedagogy of online instruction, and they learn more and they're becoming more secure in what they're doing. I think I'm getting a lot of good feedback from the faculty that they enjoy that new challenge and that new modality to try to explore something different.
And I think, given that we have Canvas now, if you've had a chance, if you're new and you're training in Canvas, I think you're going to discover that there's just so much available. Like I don't know what percentage, there's so many things like apps available, and you can custom tailor it based on what you teach, your style. And that's what I love about it, is the fact that Canvas allows you to grow. All the basics are there, but then you can adapt it as you need as an instructor. And one of the things we'll do next year is to do more trainings about opportunities like that in Canvas. We'll talk about quality instruction issues. And then another thing we'll talk about, and I want to just cover here a little bit, is some issues that you might encounter with students. One of the things that's on, I think, both of our radars right now is just behavioral issues in class. Now, most of our students are great in our online classes, but occasionally, depending on the subject you teach, like I teach in social science, and sometimes people get really heated in their conversations, and we have to pull them back a little bit and say, hey, you need to be respectful to your colleagues. So have you encountered like issues like that as you've been working with Canvas?
I personally, I teach business also, and not that you can't have controversial or very passionate discussions in business. However, I've been personally, I have not had to deal with some issues, a few kind of odd behaviors, but I've had faculty report that a student is, posting inappropriate material in the discussion or using aggressive language and that type of thing. And so that is really something that we understand that, the life even in a face-to-face classrooms are changing with students. But in a virtual environment, everyone is willing to give their opinion, they're hiding behind their screens. And so we do plan, and one of our tasks this year will be to bring in some more training and resources regarding how to really set expectations of behavior, be very specific about what you expect, what the consequences are, and then ways to really just kind of deal with that. And so Scott, we should be doing some training and some good work with that to just help you feel better about facilitating your online class when you're having students that can be disruptive to that learning environment. For
sure. Yeah, with both of our collective experience, I think I'm not saying we know all the issues, but we encounter a lot of these issues, and we're like, oh yeah, that's come up in this class, or the same student is in one class and the next class, and they're having some challenges. So we can hopefully do more of that so it makes your lives easier, because we realize you want to teach the content and be experts in the field, and you don't necessarily want to deal with the issues that we deal with in social media where people don't agree on politics or whatever. Some of that starts to trickle into our classrooms. So as Treva is saying, we can do more trainings. And I think overall, I would say it's a commitment that we all share to innovation. And I wanted Treva to talk a little bit about this new grant we're both involved in. It's called the CVC OEI. It's happening in 2019 and 2020. So if you're seeing this video after that, there'll be new innovation, but maybe you can talk a little bit about what this grant is all about.
Okay, the grant the main focus at this time is in the area of career technical education. However, we see the grant as providing us the tools in the vehicle to create a really, create innovation here on campus that can apply to all of our instructors. It will obviously benefit the career technical education areas, but it will also, in sociology and different, psychology, that it's going to help support faculty in that area. And so the innovation, we did receive the grant for $500,000. We're working with some consultants, some experts in teaching and learning, and so there's going to be a lot of great training. But again, I think it's really exciting to see Scott in his new role here on campus with the teaching and learning faculty chair, and that the college, the commitment to, I think, innovation, but just really supporting, hopefully, teaching and learning on campus. And with that will come the innovations that we need. And the world around us is if we need to keep up and we need to be presenting ourselves in the best way we can, and having our students have the best experience they can have with LTCC's online classes, that innovation, the embracing that is just what we're going to need to do.
Yeah, it's a great sign for the college. And one of the things currently in meetings, but one of the things we're talking about is doing maybe more videos like this for onboarding to really support our faculty. And as Treva said, we can build this as part of our foundations. And one of the things I wanted to mention on here is that we're doing a slew of future conversations. We can call them live streams, I guess. I have currently during college hours, so Tuesdays 12 to 1, and I may not hold one if there's a big student event, but 12 to 1 and E100 if you're on campus, I'll do events. Treva will be involved in those as well. We'll do them as live streams, and currently I'm working on kind of a live stream technology because I really want that all of you out there who are virtual and you can't come to South Lake Tahoe, if you're teaching for us and you live I have a new instructor in sociology, she's living in Kentucky. So if you're living in Kentucky, you can still take part in the live stream. We might do some stuff on Fridays as well. And then the cool thing about live streaming is that it'll record it for us. We'll archive it either part of our Canvas orientation pages, or down the road I'm thinking about an onboarding app. If we get that rolling, it'll be involved in there as well. So just really want to mention that you'll be a part of this and you can take advantage of trainings. Is there anything that you typically do in Canvas that's helpful with for new faculty training in Canvas that is really key, like learning the system? Or
I think that the use of the video confers Zoom. Everyone has that in their Canvas site, so that you can have that virtual platform to be meeting with people, synchronously or recording and being able to provide that. It's just like those of you who teach online. We talk about humanizing your online class, putting you in your course, letting your students see you as their instructor, but as a human being, and making those connections. And that's just as important to building a community of faculty. That Scott, I'm really excited about that we have a lot of online instructors teaching all parts of the country, and it's very exciting to me that you can feel like you're more of a part of LTCC. You're important to our college, you're important to our students, extremely important to our students, and that you can feel that connection. And I think these types of activities are really going to help to enhance that. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. And one thing I should mention is we've both been a part of a couple of these. We offer opportunities for part-time faculty. Well, I'll talk about probably in another video, part-time faculty office hours, how that works. But we also have something called the ETW and the OETW. The ETW, Excellence in Teaching Workshop, and then the OETW, it's the Online Excellence in Teaching Workshop. And we were both a part of that recently. Could you just tell them the basics of what the OETW is?
Okay. So the ETW was that Excellence in Teaching, and it was for our face-to-face faculty. I remember participating in that when I was a new faculty member. Even though I came from a secondary credential, I just felt it was important to learn more about how to effectively create a lesson and present a lesson. And that's the same idea for the online teaching excellence. Again, it's not that it's just presented online. It's about how do you create a excellent online course? How do you, and it's not a whole course because the ETW it's over or the online is just, we spread it out over a 2-week period so that you have just like an online class, times where you can check in and complete tasks and participate. But it does provide you an opportunity to really see kind of just one module, how you can set that up as a complete lesson, how you can include your video. We have resources, something called VoiceThread. We have some other, we'd like to, as we do the advanced, talk about the different apps that people can use with Canvas. And so it does give faculty an opportunity to, not only as part-timers, you can move to the associate faculty.
Faculty.
For your pay increase, which is great. That's a wonderful incentive, but also just what you can get out of that to see that, okay, I'm doing things the right way, or wow, I can be including some other, I have some gaps that I need to include to make a more effective instruction in my online course.
And I know I've heard from our senior leadership team, our administration, that because of my role and availability for trainings, I think we'll do more of those, both the ETW and the OETW in the future. And that's really a benefit to all of you as part-timers because, again, you want to advance to that associate rank. And so that's an opportunity for you to complete the class and then to take advantage of that pay increase. The other thing I'll say participating in that is that I hear all the time from both part-time and full-time faculty that we need to just get together more and talk about teaching, because sometimes, a lot of important initiatives, like we mentioned here, the CVC OEI grant, but sometimes we'll have our in-service training days and we get, bogged down in all the different topics we have to talk about, and then we
pathways.
don't get pathways and strategic enrollment management, meta majors. So I'm really excited to do more of this, and again, do it virtually so those of you who are off campus can participate. But I think it's just a real value to sit and talk about teaching with our colleagues, because we've all done it and we all have different experiences, but some things we're going to have in common, and then maybe we can provide some of those to you if you're particularly new in your teaching career, and then you don't have to deal with those hurdles that maybe some of us dealt with when we were first starting ages ago. So
yes, definitely.
Yeah, so
definitely. And to be honest, just for online instructors, the more you can kind of get yourself in front of a camera and presenting yourself, realizing that we make mistakes, just like in a face-to-face class. You don't say, whoops, ignore what I just said. You make mistakes, things happen, but again, you get that different connection with the person presenting when your students are seeing you, and there's real value in it.
Yep.
And the more that you just do it, honestly, hopefully the more comfortable you become with it. It's not like you have to be an expert. You just need to kind of put yourself out there, so that's exciting.
Yeah, great advice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll, bring it to a close. We'll be back certainly with more trainings and more videos, but we wanted to just use this video to introduce ourselves to you today if you don't know us, and hopefully you'll be in touch with us and we can help address some of your needs and concerns out there. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Looking forward to working with everybody.